In this lesson, we're going to decode the odds numbers, what they mean, how to calculate exactly what you win, and then at the end, why these numbers are the single most important reason most bettors lose money over time. So now let's talk American odds. We love to make our own measurements. We love to make it more confusing. In other countries, they use decimal odds like 0.5, and then you can multiply that times whatever you're betting, and that's going to tell you how much you win. Very simple. In America, we put out there negative 200. What does that mean? We're going to talk about it. This format is used in every major sports book in the US, and here's the key to reading them. So let's start off with this example here. We got the Kings versus the Warriors. That is the NBA. And let's look at the negative number here, the negative 1,000. So if you have negative 1,000, that means if I bet $1,000, I will win $100. That is how the negative odds work. So whatever the negative number is, that's how much it takes to win $100. So just a little piece of memorization there. Then you can, if you want, you can create a ratio with this. So this is 100 over 1,000. That equals 1 over 10 or 0.1. So that's the ratio for this. If that was going to be a decimal odds, that's what you would have, the 0.1. And then you can do 0.1 times whatever number you have. For me, if you're like a high roller, I'm going to bet $10. And then you'll see, okay, 10 times 0.1, that equals 1. So I would win $1. Woo! That's pretty exciting. So now let's talk about the other side here. That is the plus 650. So for the positive number, you're going to say if I bet $100, I'm going to win 650. You're kind of flipped on that. Now it's if I bet 100, I win 650. The other one was if I bet 1,000, I win 100. So both of them, I think, not super hard to memorize, but that's just the basics there. And you can get a ratio here as well. This is 650 over 100, which equals 6.5. And you can multiply that times whatever you're betting, $10, and you'll get $65. You'll win $65. So that's our American odds and how they work. Now let's go check out a live example and see what the Sportsbook says. Okay, so we open this up. Let's try an example here. We have a plus 525. So I bet $100. Wait a second, now it's saying 625, right? And that's because this says, you can see that it says there, it says the payout is 625. So that's where you really need to pay attention on these sports books. And the payout includes your original wager. So we know with the plus 525, we just learned, hey, that means we're going to win $525 if we bet 100. If you combine that 100 and that 525, that gives you the 625 payout you see there. So let's go back to the formula here. We need to write one more down. So what the sports books are going to show you is the payout, which is equal to your wager plus the winnings, what you would win. Okay, so that needs to be considered when you're making your bets. Now, why did they show you the payout instead of how much you're winning? Because bigger is better. They want to confuse you into thinking you're winning more money. That's why you really want to be careful when you're reading these sports books. It's all a money grab. All right, now let's talk about what the odds are really saying. The odds actually let you calculate the probability or chance of whatever you're betting actually wins. This is called the implied probability. The casino puts the odds out, and that is in the odds actually imply a probability or a chance of that of that team actually winning or whatever bet you're talking about. So let's say we're talking about the over 234.5 and minus 110 odds. So first let's do the formula, which is, our formula for this is the amount that you're betting over the payout. So amount you're betting is going to be a bit more obvious. You can choose whatever you're betting, but the payout is affected by that. So let's go back to our negative number example here, negative 110. So that means if we bet $110, right? If we bet 110, because that's a negative number, that means we will win 100. So negative 110, that means we win 100. And to get the payout, we have to combine our wager and our winning amount. So our payout for this would be $210. Okay, so now we have our numbers. We have our amount we're betting, and we have our payout. So now we can get an implied probability or chance this event over 234.5 points happens. That's the combined points. So let's calculate that. 110 divided by 210, and that comes out to 52.38%. Okay, cool. So we have a 52.38% chance of the Kings going over 234.5. That's what the sportsbook is saying. But wait a minute. The under for this also says negative 110. That also would mean if we calculate the implied probability, it's the same number, that this is also 52.38%. And this is, the over is 52.38% as well. And this doesn't make sense, because if we do 52.38 and another 52.38, that gives us 104.76%. That's more than 100%. That's not possible. You can't have two things that are opposite of each other add up to more than 100%. So this extra 4.76% has to mean something. This extra 4.6% has to mean something. That's called the VIG, or the house juice. It's the sportsbook's cut baked into the odds in every single bet on every single market. Here's how it works. A true, fair coin flip bet, 50-50 bet, prices would be at plus 100 and plus 100. Because if I bet $100 on a fair bet, I would win $100 back. So $100 wins $100. Now on this, with our negative 110 odds, but they're offering us negative 110 odds, we can calculate that, and the negative 110 odds actually wins 90.91. So they're paying you less than they should. And that's why people say the house always wins. The VIG also exists in blackjack, roulette, slot machines, and of course sportsbooks. We have different VIGs, as you can see in the image. So blackjack actually has one of the lowest house edges out of any of the gambling games, which is pretty interesting. And then you see roulette betting on red and black is at 5.26%. And then you see sports betting, 4.76. So somewhere in the middle. Better than roulette, not as good as blackjack. So, but here's the good news, because these are actually different. For sports betting, you can actually identify bets that have less than that 4%. Why are these different? These three are exact probabilities. Sports betting is an implied probability. This allows a margin of error in the sports betting because nobody knows the exact chance of any bet winning. And that margin of error and data analysis, that's what allows us to reduce the edge, and that's what this guide is going to talk about, those advanced methods to reduce and help beat the edge.